Here, you might like this movie. 1970, Five Easy Pieces. Five Easy Pieces is a movie. There you go. That starring Jack Nicholson. I will spoil. It's a 1970 movie. I don't even know if you're gonna watch it or not. It was good. I liked it. And it boils down to a man not having much in life, and or no, he does have stuff in life, but he rejects it. He doesn't want to commit. He is like a he drifts through life, not wanting to commit and not having anything to latch onto, which makes them always kind of empty and purposeless, kind of in a way. And the movie kind of relays that not only through the character who's purposeless, who doesn't know where to go, who's always drifting, who doesn't commit, but the movie accompanies him through that purposelessness and through that drifting. So it almost feels like none of the things that he does matter. And in a way, it gets kind of annoying because none of the scenes that we're watching, none of of what we're watching actually matters. But that's because he lives a life with, living things that don't matter, which makes it really interesting because it's kind of really putting us in the shoes of the character or through his moral dilemma, or not his moral dilemma, but his malaise. His malaise is that the things that he's doing don't really matter, and he's working. He's working a job he doesn't necessarily like. He gave up pretty much on his family. He gave up on his piano, kind of. He's a really, really good pianist, but he kind of gave up on that. He didn't want to commit to it. His friends, he leaves his friends. He has a girlfriend, but he doesn't really want to commit to her, even though she's pregnant, blah, 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 all of that. And through the movie, it feels like nothing settles because nothing nothing is concrete. But that's how he feels. So it's masterly made for that. And at the end of the movie, we feel like we're very unsatisfied because nothing, in a way, nothing happened. Nothing serious happened. Nothing of substance happened. But Bobby, who is played by Jack Nicholson, the protagonist, has a life where nothing happens, where he's kind of too cowardly to have anything happen. He prefers running away from things before they can even happen, so that he doesn't gets disappointed, or we can analyze what he says, what he feels all day. One thing I found very interesting about this movie was a comment I actually read that I thought was, if I can find it. Oh, there it is. A comment by Nora. I won't read everything, but Nora says, "I would really love to see this remade by a female director because I think it would make all the difference, or at least rewritten with a close examination of the women characters, because apparently this has a female writer and this is what we got. Lol. It's possible to make a film with an unlikable male main character who treats women badly, but still treat the women with empathy and as people with inner lives. My main issue with this film is not that the main character is garbage to women, which he is that the film itself doesn't seem to care about any of its female characters. Bob Rafelson never gives any women enough focus or space to be developed as people, which is really frustrating. It's possible to write women who are weak-willed and oblivious to the toxicity of the men they are involved with. Ray's whole conflict, blah, blah, blah. All right. I thought, yeah, that's true. The women in this movie are very often presented as weak-willed and kind of surface level. Nothing really happens. They're not even like a character in a way. And what I find interesting is I don't think that's the fault of the movie, but more the fault of the viewer. And I might have to rewatch the movie with that in mind. But the thing is, so it's easy to see Bobby as a character with a lot of personality, who's explored in depth, and his weak-willed, as Nora puts it, weak-willed girlfriend. But what I find interesting is that we see a lack of agency in the fact that we're not necessarily looking much into her. The fact that her choices are kind of one-dimensional, very surface level, while his choices, well, we explore them and we understand them and we look into them. But the interesting thing is, I think both are surface level. Both are not that that developed in a way. As I've said, he has nothing going on in his life, and we're just following a man who has nothing in his life, who just drifts, right? Who just does as he wills as it goes along. And that's a criticism of a man who has nothing and who's weak-willed in a way. But we attribute to him some personality because of that. Mostly because he's a man. Because both of them share similar similarities, similar characteristics. The guy and the girl, both of them have nothing going on in their lives. They're perhaps not satisfied. They feel like they don't necessarily have a goal. Perhaps she has more goal because her goal is to be with him. He doesn't really give a fuck because he's a misogynist. But we see him, as having more personality and more direction in life, even though he doesn't. And I think that's more of an us problem than the movie problem. Because we more easily attribute personality to a man with no personality than personality to a woman with no personality, if that makes sense. And we see that a lot in other movies, especially from the 70s, like Taxi Driver. Taxi Driver, we give Travis Bickle so much personality, and he's so likable, blah, 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 blah. But Travis Bickle is kind of a loser. He has no personality per se, or no distinctive personality. But we attribute to him a kind of charisma and a personality and a love for him that perhaps we wouldn't if a woman was written as shallow. Not shallow, because he's not. Travis Bickle is complicated, but he's still a shallow man. But we're not giving this kind of complication or this nuance to a woman character if she's shallow. I think that's how I'm gonna end my comments on 5 Easy Pieces. When a man is shallow, we'll still attribute him personality, but when a woman is shallow, we won't. And I think that's not the problem of the movie; it's a problem for us.